to tell you, but Mom's been parking in that space where you want me to park. And so when I pull up, and she's not there by the time you come home, she's moved around or she's gone somewhere else, but when I come home with the truck, it seems like she's always there. And because I know you're going to want to get inside the garage or whatever else, I try and leave that other part open. And so I just park over on the rocks, and I keep forgetting about it. So I thought, well, that's interesting, because I wonder why my wife always parks over on that side, because the other side is where she typically parks when I come home. So I went in and I talked to her, and I said, hey, Rex is saying that he's parking here because you're, he said, oh yeah, sometimes because when I come home with the groceries, it's easier to park here and put them in, and just sometimes I forget to go back out and move it. Anyway, so I go through this whole listen and learn thing, and I suddenly realized, and then I said, well, why are you parking there? You can just pull in. Well, no, but I pull it into the garage, but you've got all your other stuff that's over there. My stuff in the garage. In other words, the more inquiry that went into this, who was actually causing all of these problems? It was me. It was me. The listen and learn took it a whole other place, and it was interesting because both of them were trying to do these things that were actually logical and they made sense. And I was actually asking them to do something that didn't make sense once you took into account all of the facts. But I didn't have all of the facts. And so I was doubling down on correct. And then I went ahead and I moved down to teach and communicate and listen and learn. And then that whole experience, once you go through that, what's beautiful about it is you go through that process, you naturally find yourself in a situation, you're building a relationship, and you're gaining the respect of each other. And they're gaining the respect of you because they're seeing that you've taken more into account about where they're at. You can't do that without beginning to build a stronger relationship. And then, of course, making sure you're out of the box to begin with, because it was very easy and very tempting. At times, I was very much in the box. In fact, when I began the conversation, I was in the box. Because again, correct, sometimes the reason we double down on that is because we're firmly entrenched in the box. I don't really care about what's behind it. I need you to change because this bugs me. That's an in the box, inward mindset, right? So it's just interesting how you can find yourself just walking through that, and you begin to have these very specific, methodical steps that invite you to do something that there isn't an element of this that when you're looking at it from the outside doesn't feel to some extent intuitive, and yet it's rarely if ever actually employed, because there's emotion, there's an inward mindset that's going along with these things. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is I want you to just pair up with whoever, and again, one of you will have to kind of be part of a triad, a little bit of a trio there. And I want you to just walk through the situation that you've described. And whether or not you want to use the real name or whatever else, that's up to you. But just kind of walk through and describe to the other individual. There's great power in exposing your thoughts to oxygen and your plan to oxygen. In other words, as they come out and you're discussing them, you'll notice different things about your plan going forward. And then the other individual will have an entirely different perspective, potentially. And so just kind of take turns. One of you kind of describe the situation, what you think you're going to do going forward. The other you can provide some feedback, ask some questions, and then switch and go the other direction. We want you to just really fully think through this plan and strategy, okay? Now, this is what I want you to do. After you conclude this, or as you're going through it, I want you to identify the one thing in that brainstorming area and circle it. And that's the one that you're going to do, okay? We'll talk about when, but that's the one that you're going to do. So after this discussion, I want you to determine the one thing in that little brainstorm section that you are actually going to do, okay? All right, let's go ahead and pair up, and we'll give you about 15 minutes or so to kind of work through that. So 5 to 7 for each of you, okay?